This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everyone. I was just thinking a song, a big number one song by Madonna came out in the 90s and it was called Express Yourself. And that really just applies to what we're going to talk about today. Expressing yourself with color, specifically with creativity, with artwork, and that expression leads to realization of you and also lots of healing, also known as art therapy. Going to learn about what we see from others and also a lot within ourselves. She is our professional of the year. She is a certified art therapist, and she's Barbara Robertson. She's back with us. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks, Steve. I've been thinking a lot about color, and the stuff on the wall behind me come from a time when I had stopped painting for a while. And in order to kind of get my creative spark up and running again, I just decided to play with color instead of trying to paint something or to make art. And I discovered that it was so much fun. I really just loved swirling colors together on the page. And then that's a part, I think, just of being an art therapist is looking at so much other artwork that happens in my studio. Sometimes I really get inspired by something I see a client do. And I did have one client who was really all about doing abstract artwork with color. And I think she kind of lit that little spark in me to try that out. And then thinking about what to bring to today, I ran across, as I'm going through some older files, I ran across artwork that's been done by clients that I've worked with that I have permission to share. Now, of course, I won't share any names or anything about the stories that's too specific because confidentiality is still important. But I thought they were good examples of how we sort of innately respond to color in a way that vibes with the emotion that we're holding.
So I
Really.
have an initial thought here, and looking at the work you did in back of you, where you just said, with reckless abandon, I'm just going to throw colors down and see how it goes. Do you feel that we may think there's no rhyme or reason with that brush moving around and the colors we select, but there really is. It's our subconscious, it's something within of us in us that is actually making these decisions for us.
I absolutely believe that. In fact, I kind of attribute it to what I call our heart, which is not our anatomical heart so much as it is
Mm,
the center of us, the space in us that really holds the best version of us that we could be. And that is almost like sort of the thing that I think about. It doesn't match visual terms, but I think of a tuning fork, how a tuning fork will resonate at a certain vibration. It'll make a certain note, a hum, and it'll either harmonize or it'll clash with
mm.
what's in the surrounding. And I think we kind of operate on vibrations like that to some extent. And I think our heart kind of holds that capacity.
I love that we're talking about this because for any of us, and that's many of us, when we say, I can't paint, I can't draw, I'm not creative. No, no, absolutely no. You don't even, you're on autopilot in a lot of regards when this is just the mechanics, the hand holding the brush pen, whatever. The rest of it, what's inside of you is taking over. And maybe hearing it that way maybe walks us off the ledge of thinking that we can't do it.
I hope so. I hope so in a lot of ways, because I really feel like at this stage of my life and after my experience, both making my own art for my personal satisfaction And, being an art therapist and guiding others toward recognizing and realizing their own creativity, I firmly believe that every last one of us has the gift of creativity. And we use it every day. We have to figure out some way to get through the day, whatever we have to do. And so that little creative part of us is trying to find the way that suits us the best to do what needs to be done and
Mm,
find a little flavor in the process. And
yep.
we just don't recognize it. We don't call it creativity, but it's got input into every day of our lives. And I love
Abs-
that.
Absolutely. Even if you look in a lot of job postings now, even for tech jobs, they look for creative problem solvers. There's creativity in everything we do. Even you're driving to a meeting, and even the way you drive. Well, you know what? I'm not going the regular way. I think there's a backup over there. I'm going to get creative and make a couple of turns on other streets and weave my way, wend my way in to the direction I need to go. When you really think about it, everything is creative.
And sometimes if I have extra time and I'm going someplace, I'll decide, you know what, I'm going to take the scenic route. I'm going to go where the streets kind of wind through some wooded areas so I can see
Hmm.
color in the leaves and so that I'm not just on one of those highways that's got the sound berms on both sides and you don't really see anything but the guy ahead of you.
Yep. Yeah. You know what's interesting that now that I think about it? I'll look back at emails I sent. Yeah, a few years ago, you're searching for an email, you find an old one, you look, and I'll look at it, I'm like, where did that come from? You worded that really well in a creative way, the way you use those words. I don't know what I was thinking on that, David. That was damn good.
That's right. And it's nice to kind of take a moment and appreciate those things. Our brains are so kind of wired to prefer negativity because there's a little more survival value in noticing what's wrong than noticing what's right. That we
Yep.
often kind of skip over what's right as though it's irrelevant, when in fact, it could have a whole lot more to do with how we enjoy our survival
Hmm.
than whether or not we survive.
And when we have that block about intentionally being creative, i.e., I really want to paint something, but it's to get there, it's going to be a lot of work. Don't think of it that way. Let what's in the heart, i.e., heart, and you pointed that out a while back, and I love that. Let that take over. The only thing you have to do is find the medium, call it the acrylic paints, couple of brushes, the canvas, maybe a pencil to sketch it out first, and then just let it go. No
Right.
judgment.
And even that, you might notice that there's one particular kind of material in the art material store on the shelves or online that starts singing to you. Buy me, bring me home, play with me. And that
Yes.
that too is your heart speaking to something that speaks to your heart.
I haven't done it in years, but I used to go into those stores and just look, and you might realize even a pen, a certain type of marker. I have an affinity for the classic flare marker,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
very picky. It has to have, some of them have this white little cap thing at
Yes.
the tip, and they
Yeah.
don't work the same way. I need the original from like 40 or 30 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, it flows well, it holds the ink for months. Got to put the
Yeah.
cap on it, but this just works, and I'd rather use this than a ballpoint pen. I don't
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
know what it
Yeah.
is.
Well, it's probably kind of like it gives you a sense of flow better. It gives
Flow.
you a sense of like it's not resisting where you want to put the lines, it's complying with where you want to put the lines.
I believe that's it because when it's a ballpoint pen, that ball has friction much more than just whatever they make this tip out of on the flare. And I have a friend who's into these too, and she actually buys the entire set of like, 30 colors.
Oh,
They're
wow. Yeah.
yeah, they're not cheap. I'm going to say that. But you know what? They last a long time, and if, you do leave the cap off overnight or whatever, add a little bit of water and you're back up and running again.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
So let me show you my first example of
Sure.
three images that I picked to share today. And this was done by an 8-year-old child who has an older sibling And a good friend of the older sibling passed away. It was a terrible thing when any child dies.
Wow.
And it affected, of course, the whole family, the school, the neighborhood. I don't have any details about what led to the death. I'm kind of assuming it was a terminal illness, and so it was anticipated, but that never really makes a difference once the loss hits. It's real. And so this child drew this image of a sunset over water.
Mm, wow.
The colors are really kind of on the dark side, except for the sun. But even the sun is a little bit of a muted yellow. It's got some orange or maybe some tan in it that is kind of tamping down the brilliance that it might have with a purer sort of yellow hue.
Mm.
And then there are little stars in the sky. And while the colors do kind of convey the mood as somber, the stars the child revealed after making the picture, the stars stand for people who died.
Is that really the truth?
That's what the child said. So that was true for her.
And every star on that somewhat muted sky is bright and detailed. She could have just put dots, and that's a star.
Yes,
They're very detailed,
they
in
are.
what we
And
would a star shape would be, like a 5 point star kind of thing.
right, right. No, they are very detailed and they are the purest yellow. They're more brilliant yellow than the sun is.
Yes.
And I
Wow.
couldn't help but think, what a beautiful concept. I mean, initially I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I hope she doesn't know that many people by the age of 8 who've already passed away.
Mm.
I think really it was more of a wish that there be a community to welcome one who has passed away recently.
What do you think is going on there? This is a sunset. Sun is almost about halfway down, and then the reflection on the water. Even the reflection is kind of muted in color.
Right.
What do you think overall? We got the stars, and that's truly beautiful. But what do you think the vibe here is?
I think the vibe is in general the affect. What I would call the affect is sadness.
Hmm.
Sort of, the colors are muted.
Yep.
There's a somber quality to them. But also, I think the stars and the sun itself suggest a quality of hopefulness.
The word hope, I was just thinking and going to say it. And also maybe the hope for tomorrow because the sun is setting, but it's coming back up again and it's going to look like that. And maybe when it's high up in the sky, there'll be brighter color. If she were to do it that way, there'd be brighter colors around it. But I got to say, I don't get a heavy vibe. I just get a this is life. It's a bit somber and just beautifully done. Do you recall roughly how old she was?
I made a note on the back of this image that she was 8.
Just even
Pretty,
her.
pretty profound for an 8-year-old, isn't it? That would be somebody maybe in second or third grade.
Yeah, and even just the sky alone has something to it. I can't put my finger on it, but just the way it was done. And she could have divided that sun, in an artistic rule world. If she cut that sun directly in half, it's usually in thirds. She's almost at the third line there in terms of how far the sun is down. And even with the horizon, with the water, it's about a third. And I'm sure that she didn't even know she was doing that.
That's right. I mean, those are kind of classic proportions, aren't they?
Right. Mm.
Yeah. And I like how, the way she made the markings of the sky reveal that there's some kind of containment of the sun.
Really well done. Like I honestly, and I really mean this, I would be proud to put that up on my wall before I even know the story. Just looking at it.
Yes. Yeah, it's very expressive, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah.
And
And
there's something there. And I don't know what it is, but there's a certain vibration of energy that is coming from that piece of work. And that would be fine in itself, but knowing the story is just whoa.
yeah, it has some real depth. Now, this one may look like it was done by someone a little bit younger. Let's see. Can you see? I want to not hold it too close to the screen.
It's clear.
So it's okay. So there's one, two, three, six, seven people holding up one person above their heads, and that person is kind of dressed in bright orange yellow clothes, and she has rays of light shining out from her whole body, almost as if she is the sun in this image. And this was done by a young person who was 15 and was in the process of doing a gender transition.
Wow.
And what she identified was that she was supported and safe with her friends.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
It really is. And with the bright colors around the person that's being held up by the others, she's shining.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And here again, there's a clue to affect in the quality of color. And the warmest colors really tend to support the warmest affect, a sense of really, being able to shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how to put that point across, she made the colors of those around her, yeah, bright, but they're not as bright as the person being held up, right?
Right. That's
Hmm.
right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What a sense of positivity. And I give her a lot of credit even for, like coming up with that and conveying that in the way that she's got it going on there.
And you know what else is just now occurring to me is this paper is kind of transparent, so I can see the image through the page as I'm looking at it from behind it. And I'm noticing that those figures that are supporting her, all of her friends there, together are forming a very bridge-like structure.
Mm,
And if you think about making a transition, whether it's a gender transition or whether it's moving from one place to another, I mean, life has all kinds of transitions in store for us. But what a
huh.
beautiful concept to be able to rely on your friends to help you cross a bridge.
And I'm looking at it now, and the person that's being held up calls their waist, if you will. It's almost the body's, divided into two, and the color on one half is brighter than the other by a little bit. I don't know if that was intentional, where I'm being held up. This is me now. This is what I'm going to be then.
That could very possibly be. And that could be without it having been intentional.
Right. And this is what we're talking about right from the beginning.
What we're talking about. That's right. That's right. Where we know a truth in a way that is not articulated verbally in our cognitive aspect as much as it is felt
Mm,
in our, in our more holistic understanding of where we are in life. And I think color actually allows us to kind of bypass the verbal parsing that has to be done to get to the root of it. And we could just go right there.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, another example of if we didn't know the backstory, it still would be a vibration, a feeling, and this instance uplifting. Not saying that somebody has to do everything in a positive way, but that's what we're getting from this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
This one is, let's see. Hmm. There's a little bit of confusion about which way is up. because I made notes on the back in both directions.
Hmm.
But I think that this was the intended way up for this to be seen. And this is was done by a young woman who was in the early stages of addiction recovery. And it was titled My Recovery.
Thinking, thinking for a moment on this one. Hmm. It
Just take a
almost, almost like a rainbow at the top, but not full color rainbow.
yeah.
And there's flowers inside the object in the middle, which is pretty big. I don't know if I would take that as two eyes at the bottom. I don't know. Hmm.
My inclination when I just saw it without remembering how it had been done in the session was to see it this way as these are the eyes,
Right.
and then these are flowers that are covering the mouth.
Hmm.
And I think a part of why I thought of it that way is that the colors also and the design of the whole thing kind of suggest some idealization.
I'm I'm also getting, aside from the fact that the colors work, all of them work beautifully together. Interesting. So when
They
we
do.
say, I'm not an artist, I'm sure this person's not an artist, but something inspired them to find colors that just work beautifully together. And the outline of the object, which we feel that is a representation of this person in recovery, it's gold. They're
That's right.
shining.
That's right. It's reflective. It's shining again.
Yeah.
You know, it creates an aura.
Yeah, and the other thing I love about this is life is not perfect, and the color applied didn't go to the edges of every line. It just was loosely put down, but it's perfect in that regard. There's a little bit of roughness to it, but in such a nice way.
Yes, yeah. I think it kind of speaks to the spontaneity
Yeah.
of her just sort of working again, working from what's in her heart about this new step of recovery that she's just moving into. And wouldn't you want to give it the most positive spin you possibly could at the beginning of it? You really want to have a kind of sparkling idea of what it is you're going to move into because addiction itself has treated you so harshly.
You know what, Barbara? If you turn that to the left, there we go. Stop it right there. Come back a little bit more. Right there. It almost looks like a ribbon that somebody would win.
Oh, yeah, it does, like a medal sort of a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does with that little ruffle edge that they put
Yeah.
around.
And
Yeah,
then the fabric that comes down from, the
right.
medallion, i.e.
Yeah,
the ribbon part.
yeah,
Um, in other words, you're winning.
right. Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
But you know what's funny? And we're just about out of time. Any way you turn it, it's still great.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because if these are the eyes and this is the mouth area,
Yeah.
one thing it could raise a concern is that she's kind of feeling a little spun or a little dizzy, and that would be true. I mean, you've just let go of things that were helping you survive in the interest of something more effective. And you don't really want to talk about the negative aspects of that. So let's keep it beautiful. Let's keep it lovely, at least at the start. Plenty of time for that. And then if we turn it, whoops, the other way around, and these are the eyes, just kind of looking through rose-colored glasses
Mm,
and maybe just a little bit like I don't know how to say what went on or what's
right.
going on right now. Either way, both of those could be true at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a very complex kind of a position to be in, being in that early stage where you're just going, oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Wow.
is it?
Again, I'm intrigued about the colors because I love the combination of all of them, and
They
then
are
offset by that
beautiful.
gold and then the yellow within what we think is flowers on there. Thank you for presenting that. I love doing this. Like it's so interesting how you see something, I see something, we both see something, and again, illustrating the same thing through all of these pieces of art that you don't need to have artistic talent to express yourself. It'll come out. Just do it.
That's right. That's right. If you
Mm,
can allow your spontaneity to come to the surface, if you can let yourself know it's okay to do that. We're not doing this to impress anybody else. We're just doing this to find out what's in us. And I think that really makes it a lovely experience to witness as well. And I've
yeah.
been so grateful, at being able to see so much beautiful self-expression done by my clients in the process of their striving to heal from some wound or some pain they experienced in the past.
Yeah. And people make music to process emotions. This is the same thing, but
Yeah.
I sadly people don't look at it that way. They look at I have to have talent. No, 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 no. You don't. You have it. You have it. All of us do. Barbara, what's the best way if somebody wants to reach you? Maybe kind of walk that art journey.
Sure. You can email me at brobertson, Robertson @gmail.com, or you can look up my art therapy website, robertsonarttherapyllc.com. And there's a way to contact me through that website. Also, lots of resource articles about creativity and
Mm.
healing and trauma. So jump in, dive in, explore, let yourself be curious, reach out. If you have a question, I'd love to connect with you.
I don't know anybody else that does what you do, and especially in the way that you do it. And I truly appreciate it. And thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks.
See you next time.
You got it. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.